Welcome back, guys. It's Creedz back with another video today. And today, before we can get into the video, I do want to talk about my inconsistency in terms of uploading. It's gonna be quick, don't worry. Just want to really talk about how I haven't been able to upload as much as I want to. One of the main reasons of this is because of college. Right now, I'm currently in college, and the semester started like not too long ago. So I have to really balance and just really focus on finishing certain assignments and projects and stuff like that. So that's one of the main reasons of why I haven't been able to upload as much as I want to. But don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna try my best to still, create content and do all that. So don't trip. Anyways, enough of me talking. Let's get right into it. Alright, so with World's Edge, I feel like this is one of those maps that you can almost land anywhere and be perfectly fine as long as you're running with a squad and you guys know what you're doing. But if you don't, this is probably where I would like to land, and this is honestly my go-to 5. So we're going to show you guys some of the best landing spots in World's Edge. Yeah, let's get into it. So with my first spot, it is going to be Epi Center. I think Epi is a very solid spot to rotate out of, fight in, or even just third party, mainly because usually when it comes to epicenter, I've noticed that not a lot of teams like to land there. They are always attracted to Climatizer, just because yes, Climatizer does have more loot, and I feel like that is so key for me because I love to get that potential free KP. Even though in this season KP is not really that important in the beginning, it's still, really good to just get, that free KP in the very beginning. So what I like to do is I like to land at Epi, usually loot there. Majority of the time there is always a crafter at Epi. Sometimes it'll swap to survey, so like I'll loot Epi, quickly loot survey, and if there's some time to potentially third Climatizer, I'll do that. I honestly think it's a really good spot for just decent loot, and you also have survey as well, so you usually get fully kitted, just going from Epi to survey. Or if you want to easily, you can literally just quickly loot Epi and just go straight for the third party on Climatizer. I think it's honestly just an overall good spot, and just for rotating, you don't necessarily have to worry about evac towers because there is literally a jump tower up the hill of Epi. So you're really in a good position when it comes to rotating out of Epi and not really getting stuck in storm or stuck getting gatekeeped. I think epicenter is a really good solid spot. I don't necessarily ever see too many teams land at Epi. Like I don't really see that many teams contest that much. So when it comes to contesting, I feel like you're not really gonna trip too much about it. Like I don't really see teams land here, and if they do, I highly recommend to grab height as fast as possible, or grab one of the bins on the top, like where I'm looking at, for example. Those 3 bins right there, you definitely want to grab. I feel like the middle will just sell sometimes when it comes to RNG and loot. But yeah, overall though, I think epicenter is a really good POI to land. I never really had issues with it. Let me know what you guys think. With my second spot, it is going to be staging. Very similar to epicenter. It's definitely one of those areas that I feel like isn't as hot when it comes to action. Like I feel like you don't get that many teams that land here. One thing I will say though is that if you definitely want action when it comes to landing and staging, there's a potential, not all the time, but usually there's a lot of potential when it comes to thermal station, right next to staging. Usually I tend to see maybe 1 to 2 teams land there, and if I start hearing shots, I always go there for the potential third party and get that free KP, right? You always have an advantage on the high ground, so I usually take advantage of that as quick as possible. When it comes to the loot of staging, I feel like it's definitely solid. It's not too crazy where you're gonna be like full on, gold and all that stuff, but I feel like you'll definitely get a decent amount of loot for you and your team. And if you get lucky, you'll get a crafter here and there and stuff like that. Rotating, I think when it comes to rotations, you really shouldn't trip too much. I feel like rotations aren't that rocky when it comes to staging. You can go rotate towards landslide or rotate towards harvester. It's really not that bad. I feel like it's definitely one of the more smooth sailing rotations, I would say. Not really too crazy. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think staging is just a very solid spot to go to. If definitely you mess with spots that just aren't as busy, this is definitely a spot I would recommend. It's also one of my favorite spots, definitely my comfort spots that I would say. This and Epicenter. With number 3, we have a hot spot in my opinion, and that is Countdown. Now, Countdown, in my opinion, I think is a very good spot, depending on how many teams come here. I think the loot is phenomenal. I mean, you have, for example, the shield in the middle, so that guarantees you, like, I think 1 purple for free and then a blue for your teammate, which is so goated, I would say. Generally, you have like 4 areas to loot around Countdown. So yeah, you and your team will be fully kitted and basically fine for the majority of the game until what, mid to end game. The only thing I will say about Countdown though is that I wouldn't say it's extremely hot, but it's definitely one of those areas that attracts a lot of players. So you really do have to be ready for that action. The rule of thumb when it comes to me and landing here, I only land here if I only see maybe 1 to 2 squads. Any more, and I know it's a lost cause, or it's just something that's just not really worth fighting or just dying off rip for, especially in rank. Countdown, when it comes to rotating, I think is interesting, I will say. You do have the potential to rotate through Skyhook if you want to, or just go straight in the middle going towards Fragment on that big long field where Landslide is. It's risky though, because depending on not, you might meet a team coming from the Skyhook tunnel, or you might get beamed from a team that's up on high on Landslide. So it's definitely a weird situation. I feel like you'll be fine though if you have like a Bang or a Valkyrie or just anyone that can really, you know, get you out of the sticky situations. Like as a team, you should be fine. But aside from that, I think Countdown is a decent area. Definitely an area that I would recommend if you like to get busy here and there. But yeah, on to the next. With my 4th spot is going to be Skyhook. Now, Skyhook is another spot that I would say is definitely an area where you're gonna get a lot of action. It's not a quiet area. I mean, depending where the ship comes from, it might be quiet. Which, I mean, in that case, I mean, free loot, you know what I'm saying? But guys, this area is weird, I will say. I like it for the loot. I don't even mind rotating out of it. I think Skyhook is actually a decent area to get out of, because you have, for example, the tunnel. You also have, you can go towards Countdown if there's not a team already holding there. You can rotate out of there. You also have a jump tower. And you also, for example, like I said, you can go towards the left side instead of going to the tunnel. Go to that small building, if you guys know what I'm talking about, near Survey, and just keep going that way, right? So there's like 3 to 4 spots that you can rotate towards, or not spots per se, but 3 rotations that you can do out of Skyhook. I think the loot is a no-brainer. I mean, you're gonna get like an immense amount of loot, and if you have a crafter there, I mean, that's just a bonus. The one thing I will say, I feel like contested Skyhook is weird. This is also like another area very similar to Countdown that I would avoid if there's maybe more than 1 to 2 teams here. I think if it's 1 to 2 teams, you can definitely contest this with full confidence. But when it comes to maybe 3 to 4, and especially if you have kids landing on, man, I forgot what it's called, but it's the Bloodhound Trials, right? If you see kids there, plus like 2 other teams that are also contested with you in Skyhook, I definitely would just stray away. I don't think Skyhook is really worth, you know, really contesting when it comes to that. But yeah, this is definitely, I feel like, another solid area, very similar to Countdown. Like I said, it's definitely one of those areas that if you really like fighting, or if you really like to get active, this is definitely an area for you. Fighting is weird, I would say, because like I said, there's multiple buildings, so you're gonna have a lot of high ground, a lot of low ground, and you really need to just know how to fight in Skyhook. But it'll pay off because you'll get an immense amount of loot. I think this is a really, really decent POI. Definitely an area that I tend to drop here and there if I can't land Epicenter or staging. But yeah, I feel like this is an area that it's a hit or miss area, I would say. Like, I feel like when it hits, it hits. There'll be some days they'll miss, but yeah, I feel like that's majority of POIs. But yeah, anyway, with my final spot, it is going to be Climatizer. I'm not gonna lie to you, this POI has grown on me because at first I wasn't really messing with it, generally because I knew that it was a spot that a lot of teams tend to land, right? It was basically just, to me, a miniature version of Lava Siphon, but I felt like over time it grew on me, and I think that is actually a really solid place to land. Obviously, like I said, it all depends on where the ship is coming from, because there will be times where a lot of squads will land here, but then there's also times maybe like 1 to 2 teams might land here, and in that case I actually don't mind landing the Climatizer and potentially contesting, or not even contesting at all if it's just free and it's just just us and my team. But yeah, overall, when it comes to the loot of Climatizer, it is extremely good. Like, you have enough loot for at least 3 teams for real. Another thing about that too is, like, if you have a crafter as well, I mean, that's just a bonus. Like I said, when it comes to Climatizer, you're gonna come out fully looted and just ready for that mid to end game. Definitely one thing I will say, I don't know if I did say this earlier, but with this new season rank, or this new rank system, it's really prioritizing placement over KP. So you definitely want to be prepared for that mid to end game, and you don't want to struggle with like shields and ammo and all that. So yeah, this is definitely like an amazing area for loot, I would say. When it comes to rotations, another area that has a jump tower near, obviously you can go towards Epi and go up to hill and take that jump tower, but you also have the jump tower that's literally right next to Climatizer. So this is very good. You can take your time to loot. Obviously don't loot too long, we don't want to play a looting simulator, but yeah, you can take your time, loot, do what you got to do, and if you see storm coming, you can just simply take the jump tower and start rotating into circle. So that is very convenient in my opinion. And when it comes to fighting in Climatizer, definitely another area I would say that is not weird. I actually do like fighting in Climatizer. It's not as bad, compared to certain other areas. But yeah, that's gonna be my list here, guys. I hope you guys did really enjoy it. Like I said, when it comes to my list, the first 2 that I talked about are more for if you have that certain passive aggressive type of play style, I would recommend the first 2. The other 3 that I literally just talked about are more for if you like to really get into that action off rip, I would say. Definitely areas that I would say sometimes have action but sometimes don't. Anyways, like I said, I really hope you guys did enjoy this, and hopefully you guys pick up one of these landing spots. I really try to figure out what type of landing spots that I was really messing with. Generally, especially this season, I usually just stick to my go-to, or I just kind of confidently go to different POIs, because usually I'm playing with the squad. But yeah, anyways, as of further ado, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out and bye.